Hello everyone, and welcome to devlog number 3 of the game What Comes Next. In this video, I finally talk about the gameplay that I've been hinting at in previous videos. I also go over our graphical style, some whiteboxing, and my point of view when it comes to the level design of our game, since I'm the lead level designer and the lead game designer as well. So enjoy the video. So, as I've been hinting in previous devlogs, I've wanted to show off a lot more of our gameplay and kinda how the game is supposed to be played with our mechanics and everything that you do in each level. So finally I have some gameplay to show off, but we have hit a little bit of a bump in the road. One of the most important things when making a game is making sure that the player movement for the character feels great. Whenever you're walking around, whenever you're interacting with things, whenever you're moving your character, or moving the camera at all, it needs to feel good. Otherwise, you're gonna make a lot of frustration for the player, and then they're gonna resent the game. Even though the game has great gameplay, super fun puzzles and everything like that, if you don't have good movement, the player will not like the game. So we have been working really hard on adding AI and guards and our character here and character swapping and all that stuff. And I'm going to show off a little bit right now, kind of how everything is looking right now, the issues that we are having, and how we're going to fix them a little bit later as well. So here we have the girl, and we have the rat as well. And three of our main points about this game is that there's supposed to be puzzles, there's supposed to be stealth areas with guards, and then there is supposed to be the character swapping between the girl and the rat. Because the game is about a 17-year-old girl and her best friend, which is a rat, that escaped the orphanage and go on an adventure across the town and across the world in order to find out more information about her parents. And also, the orphanage is basically evil, so she just wants to get out of there, you know? But yeah, so it is a really big interaction that you're supposed to be able to swap over to the rat and play as the rat as well in order to solve puzzles together or stealth through different areas as either the rat or the girl or both of them. So that is working perfectly, but as I said earlier, movement is a big problem in this game. Whenever I'm just walking around normally, WASD, you know, everything is working kind of fine and there's not that many issues. But as soon as I start using my mouse, you're gonna see that sometimes my mouse just kind of goes wherever it wants. If I want to look over at the guard right now, I try to look over at the guard. For some reason, my camera just pans in and just zooms in at my backpack. I just want to look at the guard, but I can't. And it is really important in a game with stealth that you can move your camera freely in a good way so you can see where are the enemies, how do I get around this area. You're supposed to be able to scout and make up a game plan beforehand. Like for example, over here in this second stealth area that we have in level 1, you're supposed to be able to go through this little bush here, and then you get here and you get to this open park. Right here is a good vantage point for me to look, what is this dog doing? I now realize that the dog is an enemy and I have to get around the dog. So if I can see clearly what is going on here, I can see the dog's movement and I can kind of see around the area and I can make a game plan of like, how do I get through this without getting detected by the dog? But since the camera movement is so wonky, we will just, instead of actually helping the player with all these things, we will just build up frustration for him instead. And another problem that I'm going to show right here as well, now he caught me, so I guess it doesn't work, but let's do this again. Another problem that we currently have is our enemy AI. So in a stealth game, it is really important that the enemy AI kind of works as intended and that it kind of is somewhat realistic. That if you have an enemy, you need to be able to hide from him and he's not supposed to see you if you're hiding. But also, if you're standing in the open, clear as day, like I'm doing here right here, you can see my entire face. He's supposed to be able to see me. And right now, he just walks back and forth. He didn't see me at all. And that is quite an issue. And even if I were, for example, to stand over here and just like crouch in these bushes, or maybe it was on this side, I'm not sure, but I remember like doing this kind of. Also, the camera goes through the wall. That's not so good. If I'm sitting right here, does he see me or not? No, he did not see me. And obviously, as you can see, this is quite the problem. I can even walk around like crazy around him, behind him. He should be able to hear me right now, but he doesn't hear me. And if I'm like walking beside him, I mean, like, there's no way he doesn't see me, right? Like, this does not feel good. This does not feel realistic at all. So this is obviously a problem that we are currently having that we're going to have to fix. But if you run in front of him, he should be able to catch me no matter what. Hello, Brav. Brav. Player caught. Okay, there we go. He did catch me eventually. And we don't really have a respawn system in the game right now either. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with our gameplay, with our camera movement, and with the enemy AI. Now, the good thing is that I know our programmers are so good, so I think they'll be able to fix this quite easily. They just need some feedback. They just kind of need to understand what the problem is, and they'll get right on it. And I think that is what I'm going to have to focus on a lot during this upcoming week of sprints, is that we need to fix the main core aspects of our gameplay, such as this. And obviously, we haven't really tested a lot of our puzzles yet, because a lot of our puzzles are mainly in level 2 and in the start of level 1 as well, which is a part that I haven't really shown off at all. And for our graphical assets and the art style that we have ended up with, as you can see right now, level 1 is actually starting to shape up and look pretty damn good. So currently, one of our environmental artists, Emma, is not able to really work that heavily on the environmental art of level 1. So there are some areas like this where I have been moving things around, and therefore there's like a patch of grass here and some dirt here that's not supposed to be there. But sooner or later she will be able to work a little bit more on the graphical art and environmental art of level 1, for example, and it's going to start looking a lot better. But I'm really happy with the direction that we've been taking the game in. For our assets, we're using a thing in Substance Painter called a blur slope. And you can kind of see, like, on these beams here that they look kind of smudgy. And that is due to the blur slope being used. And then on our leaf shaders and our grass shaders and stuff like that, you can kind of see that they look a little bit more stylized in the colors that they use and the gradient that the colors combine as well. And even though it's a little bit different, having like very clean stylized and then having, you know, like this smudgy blur slope, we actually do like this art style, and this is kind of the art style that we're going to keep going in as well. And obviously Noah has been cooking with a lot of shaders, where he has been working on, you know, very like toon shaders, as well, as you can see on the different variations of the girl's hair and how it reacts to shadows and stuff like that. So we are working very heavily on our custom made shaders as well to make everything look really good in the end. But yeah, this is how it's starting to look right now. We also recently got some street lamps added from Tim, and these look absolutely beautiful. We also have a bunch of characters that are now in the game. So we, for example, have, where is this guy? So we have our orphanage caretaker, this grumpy old man. We obviously have the girl as well, and the rat, as you have seen before. Then we have the enemy dog, which you have seen footage of previously, and I've also shown off some of his animations and everything in our public Discord. And then we have the guard as well that is currently guarding the exit. Now, the thing about the guard is that he is looking like this. He's a little bit of a meatball right now. I don't know what we actually call him, but I'm going to call him Meatball Boy. And Meatball Boy, we're actually going to reuse some of our characters because it is easier to reuse characters since we're making like a demo in order to like actually make it in time instead of like just actually making a bunch of characters over and over again. Because, for example, not to spoil anything, but in level 2 there's going to be policemen, right? And this guy obviously makes for a great policeman as well. You know, you just give him some different clothes and he just looks like a chunky policeman instead. So yeah, that's where we're at with our characters right now. Now there are going to be even more characters in level 2 as well, so do keep an eye on that in the future devlogs or in our public Discord or any of our social media. We'll be posting pictures of how they look like and what they will actually do in the game perhaps. But yeah, so this is kind of how it's looking right now with our characters. And you may wonder, why do they not have any faces? So one of our newest members in the graphical art team, Amir, he told us that like, hey guys, I found this thing that you can do that I think would be really interesting and easy to do instead of having to actually model faces, which can be quite hard. And he said, we can actually try adding 2D textures on all our characters as well. So we're basically going to draw on 2D textures, which is kind of easy to animate as well, so we can have a lot of facial expressions without having to do so much work when modeling the actual character, and rigging facial expressions is also quite hard. So this is an easier route that still will actually kind of work out with the actual art style that we have in the game. So that's why they all have no faces, like our poor little girl here. She looks good, and then you see this and you're like, god damn, is this a horror game or what's going on here? So I also want to take this video today to actually talk a little bit about our progress on level 2. Now, for those who don't know, Whiteboxing or Greyboxing is a level design thing where you actually scale out and you map out your level using shapes in order to see like how does the level feel like, how does the level play like, how is the main structure of the level supposed to look like and be eventually. And I've been whiteboxing level 2 in order to like set up our puzzles so we can play test and kind of get a rough feeling of like, oh, this road is about 50 meters long, and then this road over here is going to be 50 as well. So you're gonna have to walk 100 meters from there up to this point here where there's an intersection, and then you can take a right. So I'm kind of like figuring out the scale of everything and kind of how the level is supposed to be played. Now, one problem about this level is that this is very hastily constructed with whiteboxing, and I did not actually use a pro builder for whiteboxing, as I did not really have a lot of time to actually whitebox this level because I work on so many different things in this project. And as I just talked about in the gameplay segment of this video as well, I need to focus on other things than just whiteboxing, like playtesting and giving feedback to the rest of my team, like, hey guys, this is not working right now, and in order for the gameplay to be good, we need to fix this and that, because I'm also the lead game designer. Now, obviously, I have other level designers with me, but they kind of more design like puzzles and ideas with me, and I kind of take the lead because I'm the lead level designer. I kind of take the lead on like, what do we need? How do we fix problems if there's a problem with someone's design in a puzzle or stealth area? And I help the team kind of like fix those problems. And together, you know, we have actually made a few puzzles and some stealth areas in this level. But yeah, anyway, so this is the whiteboxing, and it looks absolutely horrendous, but it is fine because the main part of the level is here. We have the roads, we have where the main buildings are supposed to be, and we have the puzzles. For example, here, there's going to be a puzzle here. You're going to do something, you're going to get in here, you're going to do something here, you're going to get something here, etc. Right? And this is all implemented now. And I haven't even started playtesting this because just the other day, my team told me that like, hey, the puzzles are now in and you can start playtesting. So I'm very excited to start playtesting this week. But basically, I have whiteboxed this entire level, and as you can see, there's a lot of different things that you're going to be able to do. There's a lot of areas that you're going to be able to walk to. And this is all supposed to be a city. This is the French city that the girl escapes into after being in the orphanage, where she tries to reach this tower in order to scout out the area better and try to find where she wants to go next. And from a level design standpoint, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the level design as well. So let's do that right now too. Now, from a level design standpoint, one really important thing about level design is something that we call pacing. In order for the player not to get exhausted, not to feel frustrated or feel like there is just so much going on that you just get overwhelmed, you need pacing. And pacing is basically, if you guys have played any game at all, you've probably encountered what pacing is. It's this moment where you have really intense gameplay moments, like there's a stealth area or there's like a shootout going on and you just have to like pick up guns and kill bosses or whatever, or kill enemies and then stealth around and you have to solve puzzles and whatnot. if you have that thing going on all the time in a game, like let's say you play a game and 100% of the game is literally you just shooting all the time, it is going to become very, very exhausting for the player. So you need pacing. And pacing is something that I had a little bit of a problem with in this level. Because in this level, we said together in our team that like, hey, we want to implement a lot of gameplay because this is supposed to be a somewhat gameplay heavy game. So we had a lot of ideas for things we want the rat to experience, the girl to experience, a lot of puzzle ideas and stealth ideas and everything. And we're like, all right, let's implement all this into level 2. But then we also had the discussion that like, hey, we don't want to make level 2 way too big because this is a demo and we kind of want to make like 1 or 2 or 3 levels. And we don't have the time to make each level really big then if we're going to be able to make that many levels. So pacing was something we had a little bit of a problem with earlier on in the development of this level and when we designed the main aspects of the level. But I do believe that we actually managed to do a somewhat good job of pacing the player so it has some calm moments, some stressful moments, and some moments where you can just take it easy and solve a puzzle and kind of get your brain thinking in, you know, like get your brain going in that sense as well. So there's different parts of this level that are going to be very interesting for the player. And this level we also focused on giving the player more choice, freedom of choice, by basically saying, do you want to go left? Do you want to go straight ahead, or do you want to go right? It is up to you to decide where you want to go, and depending on what path you choose, you're going to be hit with different puzzles, different stealth areas and whatnot, right? So basically in this level you have a road that you're going to walk on here, and obviously it is very hard to imagine right now, but this is going to be a beautiful road. This current level is also going to take place during the night, so it's going to be street lights and all these fancy things and lights coming out of the windows of people's homes and stores and whatnot. There's going to be a river flowing and everything, and this is like the opening section of the level where you can just take it easy, you can just soak in the beauty of the city until you get to this point where you are now met with a puzzle and a stealth combination. And once you get past that, you walk up here and there's yet another distance. Like this is going to be somewhat intensive, and then after you finish that, you can have a little bit of a breathing room. You can walk up this road as well and just kind of explore and kind of look what's going on and see the beauty of the city. And then when you get up here, you can choose that, like, do I want a stealth area? Because there's going to be policemen standing in the middle of the road. So you're going to clearly see that, like, hey, over there's policemen. How do I get past them? Or like, do I want to get past them? Otherwise, there's going to be another road that you can take in here where you're going to be met with another puzzle. So, like I said earlier, we want to give the freedom of choice to the player, and they can kind of decide, how do I want to traverse through this level and stuff like that. And once you get past that, we have another street that is going to be a little bit more chill. There's going to be a very heavy story element here as well. So we're going to slow down the player, make the player halt, experience the story a little bit, take it easy before you embark on yet another, you know, puzzle or stealth area. And that's when you get here where there's going to be a middle road that you can take. You can go into this alleyway otherwise, or you can take another road around here, which I'm going to keep secret for now, but it is going to be a very interesting road for the people that actually do end up walking here. And then of course, in the end, you're going to be walking up to this tower, which is the whole point of the level. And one really important thing here as well is that we want to like make the player understand and inform the player what is the purpose of the level. So in the beginning of the level here, she's going to say like something like, we need to reach the tower. And a great thing in level design is to have a clear goal in mind for the player, but also making that goal visually available. So at the start of this level, if the character is standing right here and she's like, okay, I have to reach the tower. If you can actually physically see the tower over here, if the tower is like standing like this, then you're basically like, wait a minute, I can see the tower. I know where I'm heading. Then you always know that, like, I'm not going to be going left or right too much. I'm going to be somewhat going straight ahead, and I can visually see it, and then you can feel as you're getting closer as well. Like when you're over on this road, for example, or this road, and you're like looking up at the tower and you're like, wait a minute, the tower looks much bigger now. I can feel myself getting closer. And that gives some form of satisfaction to the player, knowing that like, I am actually getting through this. I'm actually reaching my goal. And then when the player finally reaches it, you are like, you just feel like this like release of tension and satisfaction that like, oh my god, I made it through here. I'm finally at the tower, you know? So it's very important that you like visually give the player a purpose and a goal, and then it's easier for the player to understand that as well, and it gives the player so much more satisfaction by reaching that goal. And that's kind of what I'm doing in this level. So this week or next week, we are going to start like playtesting this level a lot, and we're actually going to start actually filling it up with some assets and kind of seeing how do we want the level to look like. We're going to start adding, you know, water shaders and stuff like that. And I know Noah, for example, our technical artist, he's working already on some buildings, because we want this to be a beautiful, medium-sized French city, much streetlights, much foliage, these rivers flowing through. We just want this to be an aesthetically incredibly beautiful experience for the player at all given times. And that is such a big focus of this level as well. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you learned a lot more about how game design works and what we are doing in the game, and also my philosophy and my viewpoints on level design. Now, if you haven't done it already, go ahead and wishlist this game right now. Check the description for the Steam page. Go ahead and wishlist it, and when it comes out, play it, enjoy it, love it, and you will just enjoy life more because I say so, and that's true. So go ahead.